There is $30 billion in government benefits sitting unclaimed right now across the United States. That number comes from the National Council on Aging. $30 billion that people are legally entitled to collect, but are not collecting. And the reason most of that money is sitting there is not because people do not need it. It is because the system was designed to make it as difficult as possible to find and claim what you are owed. The wealthy have lawyers and accountants and lobbyists making sure they collect every single penny. They are not leaving $30 billion on the table. But millions of ordinary Americans are, and today I am going to show you exactly where that money is hiding and how to get it, because if you are collecting Social Security right now or if you are about to start, there is a very high chance you are not getting everything you are entitled to. I am not going to tell you the same generic advice you have heard 1,000 times from people who have never processed a single Social Security claim in their life. I am not going to tell you to work longer or make more money or wait until 70. You already know that. What I am going to show you are the specific situations where real people are losing real money every single month because they checked their eligibility once and were told no and never checked again. Because they are on one type of benefit and have no idea they can collect a second benefit on top of it. Because they filed for the wrong program or forgot to file for a program that would have doubled their check. And the one that might shock you most is that there are people right now getting disability benefits who have no idea they can also collect surviving spouse benefits at the same time and keep their Medicare. Stay with me through this entire video because I am going to cover retirement benefits, spouse benefits, divorced spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, disability combinations, and a strategy that involves your earnings record that could increase your benefit permanently even if you are already collecting. At least one of these applies to you or someone you know, and the money involved is not small. Let me start with the thing that almost everyone skips, and it is the single easiest way to increase your Social Security benefit without working another day in your life. Check your earnings record. Go to ssa.gov right now and log into your My Social Security account or create one if you do not have one. Once you are in Pull Up Your Earnings History, you will see a list of every year you worked and how much Social Security says you earned. Now look at it carefully. Is every year correct? Is every dollar accurate? Because here is what happens more often than you would think. Somewhere along the line, somebody typed your Social Security number wrong. Maybe it was you on a tax form. Maybe it was your employer. Maybe it was the IRS. Maybe it was Social Security itself. They transposed 2 digits. Instead of 21, they typed 12. And those earnings for that year went into what Social Security calls a suspense file. They are floating in limbo attached to nobody's record. There are billions and billions of dollars sitting in that suspense file right now. Those are real earnings that real people paid FICA taxes on, and they are not being counted toward anyone's benefit. If that happened to you even 1 year, your benefit calculation could be wrong. And since Social Security uses your highest 35 years of earnings to calculate your benefit, one missing year or 1 year with incorrect earnings means a lower benefit for the rest of your life. Now here is the critical part. If you catch the error quickly within a year or so, it is very easy to fix. You bring in a W-2 or a tax return, and Social Security corrects it. But if you wait 20 or 30 years and then try to fix earnings from 1992, it becomes extremely difficult and sometimes impossible because the records are gone. So it does not matter if you are 19 or 79, check your earnings record now. Now let me get into the benefits that people are missing because this is where the real money is. Let us start with spouse benefits for people who are currently married. If you are at least 62 years old and your spouse is receiving Social Security benefits, you may be eligible for additional money on their record. Here is how Social Security determines this. They look at your primary insurance amount, which is the benefit you would receive if you waited until your full retirement age. Then they look at your spouse's primary insurance amount. If yours is less than half of theirs, you qualify for a spousal benefit that brings your total closer to that 50% mark. Now, here is the mistake that costs people thousands of dollars. They compare the wrong numbers. They look at what they are actually receiving each month and compare it to what their spouse is actually receiving each month. But those are not the numbers Social Security uses. Social Security compares the full benefit amounts at full retirement age, which are called PIAs. If either of you filed early, your actual monthly check is lower than your PIA. So people look at their reduced checks and think they do not qualify when they absolutely do. The other situation that catches people is timing. Maybe you filed for your own benefits at 62, but your higher-earning spouse had not filed yet. You started getting your reduced check. Then 3 years later, your spouse files, and now you qualify for the spousal supplement. But nobody calls you. Social Security does not notify you. You have to know to go back and claim it. There are two separate clocks running. Your own benefit reduction, which started when you filed early, and the spousal benefit, which starts when your spouse begins collecting. These are independent calculations, and understanding that difference is the key to getting every dollar you are owed. Now, divorced spouse benefits. If you were married to someone for at least 10 years and you are now divorced, you may qualify for benefits on your ex-spouse's record. You have to be at least 62 and receiving benefits on your own record. Your full benefit amount has to be less than half of your ex's full benefit amount. And here is something that shocks people every time I say it. It does not matter what your divorce decree says. Your divorce decree might specifically state that neither party can claim benefits on the other's record. Social Security does not care. That language has zero legal effect. Social Security is a federal program. When you file for divorced spouse benefits, the claims specialist looks at exactly 6 things. From your marriage certificate, the bride, the groom, and the date of marriage. From your divorce decree, the defendant, the plaintiff, and the date of divorce. That is it. They do not read anything else in your decree. They do not care who got the house or the car or what agreements were made about retirement money. If you have been avoiding filing because of something in your divorce papers, call Social Security today, because you may have been leaving money on the table for years. Now, here is the benefit that is worth over $1 billion in unclaimed money, and almost nobody knows it exists. It is called the independently entitled divorced spouse benefit. For regular divorced spouse benefits, your ex has to be receiving Social Security. But for this special version, they do not. Here is what you need. You are at least 62 and receiving benefits on your own record. You were married to the person for at least 10 years. You have been finally divorced for at least 2 continuous years. Your full benefit amount is less than half of your ex's full benefit amount, and your ex-spouse is at least 62 years old. That is it. Your ex does not have to have filed for benefits. They do not have to be collecting a single dollar. They just have to be 62 or older. So imagine this. Your ex is 63 and still working and has not filed for Social Security. You assume you cannot get divorced spouse benefits because they are not collecting. You are wrong. And here is what else people worry about for no reason. Filing on your ex's record does not affect their benefits. It does not reduce their check. It does not affect their current spouse or their children. They will not even be notified. It is completely invisible to them. Now, surviving spouse benefits, and this is where the rules change dramatically. If your spouse or ex-spouse has passed away and you were married for at least 9 months, you may qualify for survivor benefits starting as early as age 60, not 62, age 60. And the benefit is not capped at 50%, like spousal benefits. As a surviving spouse, you can receive up to 100% of the deceased person's full benefit amount if you wait until your survivor full retirement age. For divorced surviving spouses, you needed to be married 10 years, but the age 60 start and the 100% potential still apply. Now here is where the biggest money gets lost. People who were married multiple times assume they can only collect on one record. That is wrong. If you were married 3 times and 2 of those former spouses have passed away, Social Security will look at all available records and you can choose whichever pays the most. And here is what people never think about. You might have checked 5 or 10 or 20 years ago, and at that time, one record was higher. But things change. The other person may have continued working and built up a larger benefit before they passed away. If you never go back and check, you are stuck on the lower amount. You are allowed to switch to a higher record at any time, and you do not need your deceased spouse's Social Security number. Give the employee their name, date of birth, approximate age, and where they were born, and they will find the number and pull up the record. Now let me tell you about the combination that could change everything for someone on disability. If you are receiving Social Security disability insurance, you can also receive surviving spouse benefits on top of it. Let me say that again because this is the one that people miss more than almost anything else. You can be on SSDI and collect survivor benefits simultaneously. Your disability check continues, your Medicare continues, and you get the additional survivor payment on top. There are people right now who are on disability and have a deceased former spouse, and they have no idea they could be collecting additional money every single month. They think that filing for survivor benefits would somehow cancel their disability or cause them to lose Medicare. It will not. These are separate benefit programs, and they can be paid at the same time, and it goes beyond survivors. If you are on disability and you are married, and your spouse is receiving retirement benefits, you may qualify for spousal benefits on top of your disability. If you are on disability and you were married to someone for 10 years and that person is at least 62, you may qualify for divorced spouse benefits on top of your disability. The key is that Social Security will pay you the higher of the 2 amounts, or in some cases a combination. But you have to file. Nobody is going to call you and volunteer this information. Here is another situation that catches people constantly. You called Social Security 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago and asked about spouse benefits or divorced spouse benefits or survivor benefits, and they told you that you were not eligible. So you accepted that and moved on. But here is what most people do not realize. Eligibility changes. The person you were asking about may have continued working and their benefit went up. The calculations that did not work in your favor before might work now. Or that person may have passed away and now instead of being limited to 50% of their benefit, you could get up to 100%. Being told no once does not mean no forever. It means no at that specific moment based on the circumstances at that time. Circumstances change. People earn more money. People pass away. Your own benefit changes. You need to recheck your eligibility periodically. I would suggest calling Social Security at least every 6 to 12 months to ask whether anything has changed on any record you might be eligible for. Let me also address the earnings test because this is where people make costly decisions based on incomplete information. If you are under your full retirement age and you are collecting Social Security and you are also working, Social Security will withhold $1 of your benefit for every $2 you earn above $24 or $80 in 2026. So if you are making well over that amount, you might think there is no point in filing early because they will just take it all back. But that is not necessarily true. Social Security does not take all of it back. They withhold based on how much you exceed the limit. If your annual earnings put you $20,000 over the limit, they withhold $10,000. If your monthly benefit is $2,000, that means they withhold 5 months of checks, but release the other 7 months. You get 7 months of payments. And here is the part most people miss completely. Once you reach your full retirement age, Social Security recalculates your benefit. They apply what is called an adjusted reduction factor. If your benefit was originally reduced for taking it 30 months early, but you only actually received checks for 10 of those months, because the other 20 were withheld due to earnings. Social Security recalculates your benefit as if you only took it 10 months early. Your monthly check goes up permanently for the rest of your life. This is automatic. You do not have to file anything. So the earnings test is not a permanent penalty. It is a temporary withholding that results in a higher benefit later. Whether that trade-off makes sense depends on your specific situation, but at least now you understand how it actually works instead of avoiding it based on fear. One more thing that trips people up is Medicare and Social Security filing. If you file for Social Security before age 65, you will be automatically enrolled in Medicare Part A and Part B when you turn 65. Part B in 2026 costs $202.90 per month, and it is automatically deducted from your Social Security check. If you are still working at 65 with employer health insurance, you can decline Part B, but you must do so proactively. Write specific instructions in the Notes section of your Social Security application, stating that you want to delay Part B and that you have creditable coverage through your employer. If you miss this and get enrolled by default, you can still turn it off, but you need to act quickly. And if you delay Part B without having creditable employer coverage, you face a permanent late enrollment penalty of 10% for every 12 months you were eligible but did not sign up. That penalty stays with you for life. If this information opened your eyes to something you did not know about your own benefits or the benefits of someone you care about, please share this video immediately. Send it to a friend, send it to a family member, post it on Facebook, text it to someone at church. That $30 billion is not going to claim itself, and the system is not designed to help you find it. You have to know what exists, and you have to go get it. The link in the description below this video will take you to a free resource where you can download a complete guide covering every type of Social Security benefit, along with Medicare, Medicaid, and over 100 other programs you might qualify for. You will also receive real-time alerts whenever major rules change, so you are never caught off guard. The link is right below this video. It costs nothing and takes seconds. Now drop a comment and tell me which of these benefits was new to you. Did you know about the independently entitled divorced spouse benefit? Did you know you could collect survivor benefits on top of disability? Have you checked your earnings record lately? Let me know, because your questions shape what gets covered next, and every comment helps someone else in this community discover money they did not know was theirs. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.